How the human kidneys try to maintain the extracellular fluid. Actually, the kidneys are not only trying to maintain the extracellular fluid, it is also helping in maintenance of the intracellular fluid volume and the blood volume. And today in this lecture, we are focusing on the integration of renal mechanisms for control of extracellular fluid volume. Now, these 11 liter in the body is extracellular fluid volume, 28 liters is intracellular fluid volume, and in the blood there is around 3 liters of fluid. Now, kidneys are important for maintenance of all these intra, extra, and blood volume. But today we will focus on extracellular fluid volume, and we will be focusing on the integration process of renal mechanisms. Now, we have discussed in previous lectures that there are different renal mechanisms inside the kidneys, inside the nephrons, that include the glomerular filtration, the reabsorption process, and the secretion process. Now, how the filtration, the reabsorption, and the secretion process, they integrate with each other to maintain the extracellular fluid, that is actually the topic of discussion. Normally, the balance of intake and output of water and sodium will determine the extracellular fluid volume. How much water or fluids are being consumed, the intake, and how much water and electrolytes, mostly sodium chloride, is being excreted. Now, the balance between this intake and this output of water and sodium chloride will maintain, and it will determine the volume of extracellular fluid. Now, the kidneys will try their best to maintain the volume, and not only maintain the volume, but at the same time try not to allow edema to occur. Normally, the intake of the fluids is determined by the habits of human body. The intake is determined by the habits of the human body, and the output of the fluids and the electrolytes, including water and salts, will determine the extracellular fluid sodium chloride, and it will be determined by the ADH thirst mechanisms as well. Together with the habits, the intake of water and salt, the ADH thirst mechanisms, all of them will try to maintain the extracellular water and extracellular sodium concentration and keep the osmolality and sodium concentration constant. Now, someone may consume 5 liters of water or 10 liters of water. So the habits are actually independent of the function of kidneys. But the burden is put on the renal mechanisms now to deal with the 5 liters of water or specific amount of salt, or 10 liters of water or certain amount of salt that has been consumed. But it has to maintain the osmolality and sodium concentration almost constant. Now, normally the sodium excretion should match the intake of sodium. To determine the extracellular fluid volume, to determine the extracellular water concentration, we need to specifically focus on sodium as well, because water goes wherever sodium goes. Water goes wherever sodium goes. So excretion of sodium becomes very much important for the excretion of water and ultimately the volume of extracellular fluid. Now, this thing will be normal. The osmolarity and sodium concentration can be kept constant very easily if the kidneys are functioning properly. If the kidneys are functioning very much properly and they are in normal health. But we are discussing the integration process. So, in case of any minor disturbances in the kidneys, there will be some adjustments. Now, let's suppose if there is increase in the filtration process, there will be some adjustment in the reabsorption process. And if there is some problem with the reabsorption process, the filtration or the secretion process may compensate the changes. But they will try to maintain the extracellular fluid volume, and they will try to maintain the osmolality and sodium concentration. They will try to keep it constant and not allow any bigger changes to happen. Now, if there are some major disturbances inside the kidneys, if the kidney is damaged due to some diseases or some toxins or some autoimmune processes, there are hundreds and thousands of diseases that affect kidneys. There are some physiological and pathological processes which affect kidneys. Now, if the processes are very much big and there is some major disturbances, now the intrarenal processes, the filtration, the reabsorption, and the secretion process, they may not be able to compensate, and then systemic changes can occur. Then changes in the body can occur. Now, let's suppose, for example, normally the excretion of kidney is determined by the glomerular filtration minus reabsorption. For example, normally, let's suppose normally there is excretion of around 1 liter, 1.5 liter of urine, but there is around 180 liter of water that is filtered, or 180 liter of fluid that is filtered here. Out of 180 liters, around 178.5 liters are reabsorbed in these tubules and it goes back into the blood. And the remaining 1.5 liters, which cannot be reabsorbed, it goes out in the form of 1.5 liters of urine. Now, that is a rough estimate. Let's suppose there is some small change in the filtration process. If the filtration process increases, then the tubular reabsorption process, the reabsorption has to integrate, or it has to like compensate the increased filtration, and it has to increase the reabsorption. And this process is known as glomerulotubular balance. Glomerulotubular balance. Similarly, if there is a increase in the filtration, there is glomerular filtration, then there is also some processes are happening in the kidneys which will actually uh, try to decrease the filtration process, and that is known as macula densa feedback. Because the increased amount of sodium that is coming here in the tubules, it will start a feedback which will actually try to constrict these blood vessels and decrease the filtration process. Now, glomerulotubular balance and macula densa feedback are two examples of the integration of renal mechanisms for controlling the extracellular fluid volume. But these changes, these processes like the glomerulotubular balance and the macular densa feedback, like the integration of different intrarenal processes, the filtration, the reabsorption, and the secretion processes, they may not be fully able to bring the processes normal, and they may not be fully able to maintain the osmolality and sodium concentration constant. Now, if such a system occurs, if such a big disturbance occurs, then systemic changes occur. Systemic changes occur, like changes in the human body, changes in the body occurs, which may include increase or decrease in the blood pressure, in excretion of different kinds of hormones, and activation of the nervous system. Now, with the systemic changes, with the increase or decrease in blood pressure, the excretion or the release of hormones, and the activation of sympathetic nervous system, with these changes, the body may try to bring back the fluid, the extracellular fluid volume, the osmolality, and the sodium concentration to normal as much as possible. So the whole purpose is to discuss that there are some processes inside the kidneys, and there is some integration process in these systems, and all of them are trying to maintain the extracellular fluid, not only the extracellular but also the intracellular and the blood volume constant. In case of some minor disturbances, these intra-renal changes may compensate, but in case of major disturbances, these processes may not be able to compensate, and then systemic changes will occur. In the next lecture, we will discuss these systemic changes in detail, how they are trying to bring back the osmolality and sodium concentration towards normal, and how they are trying to keep these osmolality and sodium concentration constant in the extracellular fluid. Thanks a lot for watching the video.